Hi, it's Carla with the Double Duty Agent Podcast, and I am so excited you're here. Each week we get together and we explore the stories of successful double duty real estate agents. And from their stories, you can find the solutions to your challenges and the keys to unlocking your success. We've got an inspiring story today, so let's get started. I have Christi Williams with me, and she was not only a double duty agent, actually a double duty agent times 2, you'll hear, but she was also the Market Center Rookie of the Year and the Regional Rookie of the Year in her very first year of real estate. She has got some amazing tips to share with you today, some actionable items that you can put in place in your business right away that will help lead you to your success. And if you stick around till the very end, she is going to tell you a story that I think is going to knock your socks off, about $1.8 million worth of socks off for you. So stick with us. And at the very end, we will wrap up like always with the keys to success that will help you unlock your success. So let's get started. Well, let's dive right in. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks means for asking me.
Your story is so inspiring, although it might also scare a few people. And I don't want them to get scared, but I want them to find the points where you made choices, actions, and the mindset shifts that you had to make to get successful, because you big time success. So I'm so excited. So why don't you tell us, how did you come upon real estate in the first place? How did you decide that this might be a career for you?
In the early 2000s, I worked for a general contractor as an assistant project manager, helping with selections of finishes and even some takeoffs and estimating, if you will, for a commercial contractor. We did a lot of multifamily. And then I got out of that business kind of in the downturn of the market, 2009, and took a full-time job with benefits. I was a single mom at the time and just made a different choice. But I always missed it. And I worked in ops manager for a dental corporation for 10 years and woke up one day and thought, I don't want to do this. I don't like it. I'm forcing myself to go to work. And I've always wanted to do real estate, but I was a single mom. So I didn't think that was a good choice for me personally to be able to be involved with my kids' sports and things like that and be available nights and weekends. So I put that on the back burner until my daughter was graduating college and thought, this is time. If I'm going to do it, I need to try it. So I got my license, told myself I was going to give it a year and see if I could do it. So that's how I got started.
That's how you got started. Okay, so it was in your blood, something you really enjoyed. Then you went off and did what you had to.
Right.
And now it was your time again, and you were going to see, is this really the thing for me?
Yes.
I love that. All right. So that first year, tell me how it went. How did it start, your first year?
So my first transaction was selling my parents' home. We had to put my mom and dad into assisted living. So my first seller couldn't fire me. I said it was my parents, so they couldn't fire me. So they were my guinea pig, I guess, to learn, and did that. My siblings trusted me to sell their home. So that was my first transaction. Got my feet wet and enjoyed that. It was challenging. It wasn't a smooth transaction, but it got my feet wet. So I kept going and thought, I want to do this. Another Keller Williams agent gave me an opportunity to host an open house for her on race day Sunday in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And who's going to go to an open house on race day? But I had a client come through, or had a buyer come through, that was transferring to Indianapolis, I believe from Kansas City, for work and relocation. So they did come to the open house, and that particular house wasn't a good fit for them, but they let me show them other homes while they were in town that week. So that we got a new home under contract with Lennar. So that was my second, and I kept getting a couple other opportunities to host open houses and thought, I think I can do this. I had saved some money from my selling my parents' home. My siblings let me keep my commission on that. And that gave me 3 months of savings between what I'd saved and that commission and some other things. So I tried for about 3 months to do the dual career, and I was getting calls from people wanting to see houses during the day and answer questions. And I just quickly thought, I can't do this well. And I think I really am going to like real estate. So I decided to pull the Band-Aid off, jump in with 2 feet. And as soon as I did that, that pending new build transaction that I had under contract that was going to give me more income. The gentleman buying that home lost his job. So that deal fell apart because he couldn't buy the home, didn't need to move to Indiana. So I had 3 months of savings and I had just quit my job. So I had to figure it out. And
to fire.
Yep, I had to figure it out. And I had a coworker from the dental company refer me on a Sunday. Somebody put on Facebook, does anybody know a realtor that could show us a house today? And she said, Christi Williams. And so I was actually on my way to my dad's 90th birthday party and got a hold of this couple and said, I can show you homes tomorrow, explained where I was at, what I was doing. They let me do that. And then we got their house under contract for them to buy a home. So that replaced the one I'd lost, and then it just took off from there.
I love it. Okay. Lots of things to unpack there. You got into real estate and you realized it was everything you thought it was going to be. Or was it more than you thought it was going to be, or different than you thought it was going to be?
It was different. I think it was different than I thought it was going to be. A lot of what you do on a regular basis to build your business, they don't teach you in the real estate course. I didn't think about that part of it, and the lead gen. So I took Ignite, which the Ignite training that Keller Williams offers. And in one of those courses, Debbie Halcomb talks about building your database and how it's your data bank and making the connections. And I think prior to that, all I'd heard was make phone calls. She gave some other ideas and mentioned sending a letter. And that just clicked with me personally. So I put everybody I knew into my database and sent a letter and letting everyone know that I'd made the switch to full-time real estate and asked them to be like my cheering squad. Kind of like I put like 100 people in there that I thought I knew well enough that to be my fans and to refer. And so that's really how it took off. Most of my business from then till now has been from Sphere or referrals from Sphere.
Okay.
I've never bought a lead.
Okay. So you started with open houses a little bit.
Open houses is also a second.
And now open
lead
houses,
generator.
I'm assuming you do open houses on your own listings.
I do.
So you have some still open house, but most of it is just your sphere of influence, people that already know you, like you, trust you.
Yes.
Who then do this wonderful thing by transferring that know and trust to somebody that you don't know, and you get the benefit of that transfer. So that's worked out really well for you.
Yes. Yeah, and open houses, I would say, is my second outside of my sphere. I do fairly well connecting with people at open houses. I enjoy that too.
Okay.
I definitely did that in the beginning a lot.
So I'm hearing relationships.
Yes.
So this is a relationship business.
Yes, absolutely.
It's so funny about that whole what you think the business is going to be. I thought I was going to show houses when I got my real estate license. I didn't realize that I had to find people to show houses to.
Exactly.
So
and have them trust you.
It's a shock at first. Yeah. All right. So after that first year, I know the rest of this story. You were not only Rookie of the Year in your market center or your brokerage, but you also was Rookie of the Year for the entire region. How'd that feel?
I was blown away. I had no idea. I think I received like an invitation to the regional event, and I was like, what am I getting an award for? I had no idea. But so that was crazy. I just don't think I knew any different. I'm a go-getter. I never say no. I'm single. My kids were grown. I have a lot of availability. I do try to put some boundaries, and I'm trying to regroup on that now so I don't get overloaded. But I answer people. I respond quickly. I think that's really key in this business and a lot of businesses, right? So when I reach out to subcontractors and they don't respond, I move on. So same way with real estate. If people reach out to you, whether it's a buyer or a seller, I feel like you do have to respond. And I feel like that's one of my strong characteristics of my business is I'm pretty responsive and I'm very honest. I'm very, I try to educate so that they really feel confident when they're making a choice. But that first half of the year, I think I quit my job like mid-year, went full-time real estate, and that last 6 months, I was able to replace what I would have made at my previous job. So I didn't make any more money, but I didn't make less. So I thought, okay, I'm going to continue on. So then in 2020, I believe I sold 38 homes in 2020, over $11 million of real estate. So I was very fortunate to have met a few people that gave me referrals at some higher end homes. It wasn't really typical. It wasn't what I thought. And that started from a sign call. Actually, I had a sign call. Somebody showed up to my listing. I showed them the property. It wasn't a good fit. I knew of something else in a new build that scenario that maybe would be a good fit and showed them that. We just left one showing and went straight to that one. And then they ended up buying that, and they allowed me to come over like the following day or two later to see their home, to give them, to do a listing presentation. And they let me list their home. And then from there, that transaction snowballed. So I think being available, that's what my responsiveness and being available to show or to know how to partner with other people, other agents to show and not turn people down, I think is key to success.
And also being aware of the market, right?
Right.
Because you knew that there was this other property. Had you
Right.
not known about that,
Yeah,
that might not have...
I would like to share that with people, that familiarize yourself with all of your new build contract, all of the new builders. So knowing what's available in your area with new builds, that's just a whole nother category. And it's a good fit for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want a production home, or they don't want something that's quick like that. But a lot of people do. A lot of people want maintenance free or
brand new. Who doesn't want
brand new carpet, brand new appliances. I tell a lot of young families, this will probably take care of you for 15 years without thinking about replacing things. If you're not handy or you don't have the extra, it's a good option. It's a good option for people. So that happened. The family I was referencing happened to be like an empty nester. They wanted to downsize and buy a condo or a patio home and buy like a lake home.
Yeah.
So I had a condo for sale. It wasn't a good fit for them, but I knew of another patio home nearby that sounded like what they were describing that they truly wanted. And we just went from one to the other, and it worked out. And then that snowballed into some other transactions that were very beneficial that first year.
And it doesn't take a whole long time to get to know your market and see what's around.
Yeah,
So
I say take a day or two and go from model to model and have a contact at each company, have a sales rep at each company that you can connect with and rely on. I've used the same person over and over, even though they're not in that neighborhood. You can usually have them be your person.
So a good weekend field trip for double duty agents is go out and visit all the builders in your area on a Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely.
And while you're there, take some Facebook videos, Facebook Lives, and post on your social media. So how much does social media play a role for you and your business growth?
I've used social media quite a bit, not so much the paid ads. I've done a little bit of that, but I do try to use that as my presence. Trying to get better at being consistent and having a pattern or a routine schedule. But I do use Facebook and Instagram, some LinkedIn, to get my name out there. And I think it's just people see, I run into people in the grocery store or at a sporting event or whatever, and they're like, I see all your stuff on Facebook. So it's not that I'm getting leads, like people calling me that are strangers from Facebook. My friends and family see that, and then they tell people. So I think it's important to have a Facebook presence or Instagram or whatever you're going to do. Yeah.
Super important, because people forget. We think we're super important and nobody's going to forget what we do, but sometimes they forget about us, and we get to remind them on a regular basis.
And I know when I got started, somebody said, everybody, name all the realtors that you know that maybe you would trust to sell your home. And at my age, I know quite a few. I know quite a few really good established realtors in the area. And I was getting ready to sell my home. So that made me think, if I know 5 people, everybody knows 5 people. Yeah. I better stand out.
I love that. That sounds a little bit like a limiting belief, which was my next question I was going to ask you. Coming into as a dual career agent, what limiting belief did you bring with you into the business that you had to work through in order to get to the other side and become successful?
I think personally, my greatest limiting belief was my age. So I got into real estate when I was 50. So I had a goal to pass the exam or get my license, pass the licensing exam before my 50th birthday. And I took it 3 times. And on the 3rd time, I passed a week before my birthday. So that was my first goal, but I just thought, I'm too old. People I don't have the experience. I didn't realize life experience and my previous job experience, the training I'd had with Heartland Dental comes into play huge with connecting with people, because they provided a lot of opportunities for learning about how to communicate with people. And so I've just carried that. So I think I tell people to not let their lack of experience limit them. They have life experience and they have people experience, and you can take all of that and learn the real estate piece of it. So that was my personal greatest limiting belief. And then once I saw people do trust me and people do want to work with somebody they know and trust, that's really the hurdle. It's getting people to trust you, not so much the fact that you don't have experience to start off.
I love that. So that's a few things to unpack. First of all, I didn't actually know that about you being 50 because that was my biggest limiting belief. I got my real estate license when I was 50 as well. And I was Rookie of the Year, not of the region, but in our market center. And I was embarrassed. That's how deep my limiting belief was, that I was embarrassed that at 50, I was the rookie of anything. And that was something to really have to unpack and be proud of instead of being embarrassed.
That's true. That probably resonates with me a little bit. Yeah.
And then the other thing that I heard there was just that being new. Right. So most dual career agents, first of all of us started as a brand new agent once. And we have to remind ourselves of that. Right. Because everybody was new once. And I love that life experience and the pieces from your previous career. Right. There are skills that we all build in our previous jobs that we can bring into the real estate with us, along with the people that we knew into our database.
Exactly. I've sold several homes to my previous coworkers. So that was, they were a huge launching pad for me. Yeah.
Nice. If you had to do it all over again, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently?
That's a good question. Probably to maybe script practice and like some basics. I came into the market at just like the perfect storm time when interest rates were literally 2.9. Everybody wanted to buy a house. Everybody wanted to support me. And so I got so busy so fast. I'll be honest, I didn't create some of those good systems. I did have a database. I did use that, but I didn't always like time blocking to make sure I was doing some lead gen every day. I was maybe getting snowballed into transactions. And that carried me a long way. But at some point last year, that probably slowed down. And then I realized I don't have good systems in place. So I'm still working on getting some good time blocking systems, lead gen, commitment to that.
I love that. That's that real estate roller coaster, right?
Yes.
That real estate roller coaster that even if you like roller coasters, you don't want to be on, right? You don't want to be on because what we do today is our business 90 days from now.
Exactly.
If today all we did was work on existing business, that means in 90 days we won't have any business.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're going to hear that theme over and over again because that's a common thing that happens to real estate agents. Right.
And knowing when to get leverage. So I am a control person and I like things done precisely and how I like them to be done. So it took me quite a while to ask for help from an assistant or from a transaction coordinator. Now I do have that piece of it. And so that does really free me up so I can focus on the important things. For the first couple of years, I was doing everything. I remember, I think it was November of 2020 or 2021, probably 2020. I think I closed 9 transactions in one month. And it was Christmas time or holidays. And I was just like, I have to get help. Like this is, I don't want to drop a ball because it was important to me to not miss a deadline or have somebody not have a good experience. Keeping that consistent client experience is worth hiring some help to on the paperwork side or whatever.
Now, a lot of times we hear from dual career agents that their life gets in the way. Like it's hard to fit everything and it's hard to fit their life in. You have a little bit of life story that was going on during all of this. Do you want to share that?
I do. And I have a great support system. But in 2020, when I went full time, about as soon as I did that, actually about the exact same time that I quit my job, I told you we sold my parents' home. They went to assisted living. We thought that would be a good transition step, but my dad went into full-blown Alzheimer's like within 30 days. And so it just started a whole process that we weren't anticipating, that I wasn't anticipating, and I was power of attorney for them. So I had to be present and called into their facilities often for problems and different things. My parents ended up in 2 different facilities. We were managing that for about 18 to 20 months. All during 2020. They both passed away in 2020 during COVID and a lot going on. I personally sold my family home that I'd raised my children in for 20 some years. And so sold a lot of houses, lost both of my parents, COVID, moved. Looking back, I don't know. I just kept my head down and kept going, but I didn't think that I could do that. And I remember in those beginning Ignite classes at the end of 2019, Scott Smith talking, probably the very first Ignite class when you're talking about goals and what would stand in your way from achieving your goals. And I remember raising my hand and saying, I have 2 elderly parents that I'm taking care of. And he pushed back a little bit. You can still do this. And I thought, no, I can't. But then I did. So it worked out, and you just have to be creative. I actually sold a house to the marketing director at the nursing home. I just took my life with me and let everybody know that I was a realtor and started being vocal about that, even in those awkward places that you don't have to shut down.
It's 2 things, right? Partially that's the gift of real estate because we have the flexibility that you can handle when life throws you one of these things. But also you went from being a double duty agent working to being a double duty agent being a daughter and a power of attorney and taking care of your parents. That was
a part-time job as well. Yeah. And even looking back for people that are school-age children, I put that off. Looking back, I really wish that I would have gotten into real estate about 10 years or at least 5 years sooner than I did. And I could have managed that. That would have been a huge opportunity with all of the people that I interacted with while they were in school. Yeah,
I think the same thing.
All of their friends' parents have houses. And I've ended up selling some of those, but I think I could have managed that and made that work. So I would say no matter what your limiting belief is or what you think the barrier is, there's probably a workaround.
Yeah, jump in. This is the theme for you, right? Jump in, it'll happen.
Yes.
Jump in, it'll work. Put your head down, do the things that you need to do. Successful.
And I think you have to have goals. For me personally, I had to have goals. I couldn't just wing it. Somebody asked me recently, I was in a store buying something and it came up that I was a realtor, probably because they asked me for my email and it sounds like a realtor email. And they said something about how's the market or how's your year? I don't know, something. And I thought, your year is going according to how hard you work. It's harder. I have to work harder this year maybe than I did in 2020, honestly, because of the interest rates or different barriers with buyers or sellers. But I still want to achieve my goals. So you just have to be more creative and figure out how to lead gen more and have more conversations. So I think goal setting is important because if you just take what comes to you, it'll be
less than what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And I'm hearing not just goal setting, but I'm hearing keeping tracking your numbers, tracking where you are, knowing where you are.
Yes.
We're a business. We run this like a business.
Exactly. And it's not just what's like the now. I have things in my pipeline of people that want to do something for the next year or two. And I've always had a couple years in advance of knowing maybe what's going to come. And now I've been in the business almost 5 full years. So I have the first people that are wanting to make a change. And I've actually had a couple clients that have already bought and sold and bought again.
You sold the house you helped them buy.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's so fun. All right. So database, that's your primary source of
Yes.
business is your database.
Yes.
Just supported by a little bit social media to stay in front of them.
Right.
Is there anything else that you could think of that you would say, hey, this is one thing that really led to my success?
I think just being determined, honestly, and following up. I am blessed that I am working in an area that I've lived my whole life. So I've had a lot of connections with my church and work and my kids and their friends and like all those things. So I just put everybody in that database and staying in front of them. I need to do it more than I am doing, but I can't stress that enough that you do have to stay in front of people. And it doesn't have to be like big expensive things to stay in front of them. It can be smaller things. I've done, pop buys, like where I just drop off something small. I've done a lot of like March Madness seems to be like right around St. Patty's Day. So I'll go to Dollar Tree and buy green snacks and things and drop them off like when the kickoff for March Madness and make it a combined St. Patty's Day, March Madness treat basket or something. And it can be inexpensive it doesn't have to be a lot, but just a little reminder. I'm trying to stay in front of my own current neighborhood. So like I passed out the glasses for the Eclipse Day with a note that said something about the real estate, don't let the real estate market blind you, call Christi.
I love that.
Yeah, just little things, I think, to pick a group of people, pick a neighborhood, do something and stay in front of them that way with just little
create
fun
relationships.
Things. Yes.
Yeah. When I hear you talk about your business, I hear just relationship.
Yes. And you do have to do phone calls. People want to hear you, but a lot of people don't pick up the phone as much anymore. So I can get out of that mindset that it has to just be phone calls. It can be text or messages, commenting on people's Facebook, sending a card when they have a baby or a death in the family, or just staying in connection with people, showing them that you care, showing up for, different needs that they have, just building those relationships, because if they don't need to buy or sell a home now, they will eventually, or they will know someone that does eventually. So
Absolutely.
I think it's getting out of that. It's not just in the moment who needs a house today, but just being a good person and keeping in touch with people, and then showing up when they need you.
And it'll come. So I think so many times people want right now business. And the truth of
Right.
the matter is not everybody wants to buy or sell right now.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that they aren't good for your business. I love that.
Exactly. I know you and I were talking earlier about one particular client that I had that was maybe a little bit unusual, but I'll share this. So I became a widow young in my 30s, was a single mom, did a few different jobs to get by and put them through private school. And so one of those things was I cleaned houses, and I cleaned houses with a girlfriend for a while, and then we divided, and I kept one job alongside my full-time job for years. So I think it was about 17 years, honestly. I cleaned
Oh my
for
goodness.
one particular family. And when my daughter graduated high school and I was in management, I needed to be full-time 5 days a week. So I had to say goodbye to that cleaning job, but I did it all those years, and it was a great supplement to my other jobs. But I put them in my database because they were good friends. I cleaned their house for 17
You were part of their family.
Yeah, probably cleaned their house more than my own, but put them in my database. And when I had a part of Homerama a couple years ago, I invited them to that, and they came through, and they called me I guess it was January of 2023, and said, we want to downsize and we want to talk to you about selling our home. And it was a large luxury home. And I did know them very well. They were like family. So
And knew the house very well,
and
too.
I knew the house. Yeah. And they said the house better than anybody. So it was a real blessing, real great opportunity, very kind of humbling that I was their cleaning lady, and now they're asking me to help them represent their biggest asset. So it was a $1.8 million listing.
Yeah.
And we closed on that just a few weeks ago. It took a while, but they trusted me in that position. So that was a big thing. I just think nobody should say that they're not going to be able to achieve their goals. If I went from working multiple jobs, cleaning houses, living paycheck to paycheck, to be honest,
To selling.
and then have now built a business that I never dreamed I would have. And they could be my clients and trust me to do that and help them. We helped them to build a new home as well. That was a real blessing.
Very cool. And what amazing proof that your limiting belief that nobody would trust you because of your age, or that you were new.
Exactly.
Or that you had cleaned their house at one point in time in your
Exactly.
past was true. So, that's how we overcome or deal with a limiting belief, is we ask ourselves, is this 100% true? And then we ask ourselves, is there any proof out there that what I'm thinking is wrong? And now everybody, I knew this was going to be inspiring. That was a little gift, right? Because now everybody out there with that limiting belief has proof that it's not true. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other advice that you would give if there was a dual career, double duty agent out there that was really struggling right now? Do you have any advice that you would like to share that they might be able to hang on to and push through?
I would say definitely participate in any type of educational training that your brokerage offers. So for me, that was what we call Ignite. So a series of maybe 20 sessions teaching you a lot of the basics of everyday real estate, how to use your database, how to host an open house successfully, how to talk to a seller and a buyer, and all the things. I think that's super important. And other realtors, I probably drove some people crazy asking questions those first couple of years, and I still do when I'm in a situation that I've never been in before. But you don't know. You won't learn if you don't ask and put yourself in situations that stretch you. Don't wait till you think you know it all. I remember being in other classes where people were afraid to host an open house because they'd never done it. Then partner with someone and do it for a few times with someone if it's intimidating to do it by yourself. But just put yourself out there, talk to people. I probably had 4 or 5 people on speed dial that handheld me through that first year or two, honestly. And without that, I wouldn't have been able to achieve that. So definitely make some friends.
I love that, making friends. Thank you for joining us and being everybody's friend. Now, we want to build referral relationships as well. So if it's all right with you, we're going to put your contact information all in the show notes. So if
Absolutely.
anybody has business, and where would you like them? What area, where would you want them to think of you if they had a client?
I usually say within 30 minutes of Indianapolis. So I'll go up to Westfield, down to Columbus would be the southernmost point, maybe east and west. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just the
All
Indianapolis
of the
general
Indy metro
Indianapolis
area. Yeah.
area.
West side,
Got
south
that?
side, all the sides.
Awesome. So anybody has somebody moving here or leaving here, you'd be happy to help them.
Absolutely.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your inspiring stories, because there was more than one story there. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Christi. That was an amazing and inspiring story. And thank you so much for sharing with us. All right. So, as always, we're going to wrap up with keys to success. Our keys to success are our choices, our actions, and our mindset shifts. So, what choices did you hear Christi talk about making? What I heard first and foremost is taking a leap of faith. Sometimes you just have to jump in and go for it. Now, I don't want you to think that means that you just quit your job today and you go full time in real estate unless you're ready. Go back and remember Scott and Rhonda talked about a transition plan. Annie talked about a transition plan. But a leap of faith, when you've executed your transition plan, you may need that leap of faith to jump in, right? That's the risk and reward that we talked about last week as well. So, taking a leap of faith. Your leap of faith may be creating a transition plan. Your leap of faith may be executing the transition plan. Your leap of faith may mean you've come to the end of your transition plan and you really just have to jump in like Christi did. Or if you're loving your job, you want to stay in your other career and real estate, that is okay too. But is there a leap of faith that you need to make in your life? If that's the case, you just have to jump in and go for it. We heard that from Christi. Also, Christi told us we have to figure out how to stand out. You heard her talk about it's not actually a limiting belief, it's something that's true, right? Everybody probably knows another real estate agent. But that does not mean that real estate agent would be the person that they would trust to help them. And the only way you're going to find out is if you ask the question. Remember, we don't want to make up stories for other people. We don't want to make decisions for other people. We want to give them the opportunity. So here's a little script for you. I want to share this with you. It's one of my favorites. So when I'm talking to someone for the first time, I'm going to ask them, hey, let me ask you a question. Do you have a go to person when you have a real estate question? Is there another real estate agent that's your go to person? And if they tell me yes, as a matter of fact, I do, I'm going to say, that is awesome. Do you have a backup? If they're not available, do you have someone would be your backup? And they probably may say no. And if they say no, you say, you know what? I would love to be that person for you. What would it take for me to be your backup if you had a real estate question? And that's usually a pretty easy conversation to have. Now, if you ask them, do you have a go to person if you have a real estate question? And they say, no, not really. Then you're going to say, oh my gosh, I want to be that for you. What would it take for me to be the person that you thought of whenever you had a real estate question? And that is how you can figure out how to stand out. Now, after you've asked that question and you are their go to person, now you need to figure out how are you going to provide value to them? How are you going to continue to stay in relationship with them so that they remember you when they do have a real estate question? And then the other choice that Christi made and she told you about was asking for help when she needed it. You have to ask for help when you need it. There's probably going to be a limiting voice inside your head that says, don't. That is not 100% true. That is a limiting belief. And we can see in and out, time and time again, when you need help, you need to ask for it. Actions, keys to success actions. Put everyone you know in a database. You've heard that before, but I love this. Send a letter asking them to be your cheer squad or fans and ask them to refer you to anyone who needs help with real estate. So put everyone you know in a database is your business and then send a letter asking them to be your cheer squad. Tell them what you're doing and ask them to be your cheer squad. The next one just feeds right into that. Relationships are the master key to success almost, right? Your relationships are so important. Real estate is a relationship business. So you need to be continuing to build relationships. Each time you talk to someone, this is going to be a successful call. If one of these four things have happened, you got an appointment, you got a referral, you got missing information for your database, or you furthered your relationship such that they're going to remember that you're in real estate if they or someone they know needs some help. The next thing Christy told you was another nugget of gold. It's learn new builds. Take a field trip and visit all of the model homes in your area. Get into relationship with the building reps. And this is a really good thing you can do. And this is something that probably fits really well into a double duty schedule. So learn new builds, learn the new build contracts, get in relationship with the builder reps, and then you can start finding buyers to take to the new builds and you can have clients that are building new homes. Get your name out there. Social media is so important. I recommend an 80-20 on social media, 80% personal versus 20% business. Because if we go all business all the time, that's a little much. I love that real estate seems to be the only career I know where we every day post, look, I did my job. Look, I did my job. But we have to, right? Because we have to get our name out there. But we also need to be posting some personal things as well. Because remember, in order for someone to do business with you, they have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you, right? Know and trust. So 80% personal, 20% business on your social media. Get your name out there. Christy told you the one thing she wished she'd have done more of when she was a brand new agent was script practice. I think agents, no matter at what level they are, how long they've been in business, they need to practice their conversations. The market moves, the market shifts, we have new conversations. We need to practice having those. Remember, scripts are not about reading to someone. Scripts are about learning a framework of a conversation so that you can easily have it and not spend time thinking about what you're going to say next, so that you can actually hear the other person you're talking to. You can actually listen to them because you're not thinking about what am I going to say next. So I hope that you have some time in your calendar that you are practicing scripts either with another agent or I practiced with my husband when I was a brand new agent. Time blocking is so important. We need to have time on your calendar for lead generation. And then Christy also talked about training, and you've heard that before. It's very important that you get that training in. This is a learning based business. To be successful, you're going to need to be learning based. All right, mindset keys to success. No matter what your limiting belief is or what you think the barrier is, there is a workaround. We talked about this in episode 1. Is it 100% true? Are there proof out there that what I'm thinking is not true? And then we have to reframe it. And that's the workaround, right? You can make this work for you. Every week, we have inspiring stories of agents who made it work for them, and you are no different. Christy also reminded us that we have to have goals. We can't just wing it. Winging it without goals in business is like getting in a car to drive and not knowing what the destination is. How are we ever going to arrive if we don't know where we're headed, right? So you have to have goals. And then you have to track your numbers so you know where you are. How close are you to your goal? Are you on the right road to your destination? You cannot adjust what you do not measure, right? So you have to track your numbers so you know where you are. Don't wait until you know it all. Times agents tell me they're afraid to talk to people because they're afraid they're going to ask a question and they won't know the answer. So I have a script for you. It's really simple. You're going to practice it to get comfortable with it. But the script goes like this. I want to get you the best right answer. So let me check on that and I will get back with you. I want to get you the best right answer. So let me check on that and get back with you. Now, if you said that to anyone, do you think that they would think less of you? because they want the best right answer. So it is okay. It is okay that you don't know the answer. That's why we have managing brokers. That's why we have coaches. There are other agents who can help you get questions answered. So don't wait until you know it all, or you'll be waiting a really long time. And we just have to get started, right? Jump in. We don't want to get ready. All right. The last key to success from Christi's story around mindset is that your life experiences are your assets, not your limitations. What you do in your other career is an asset in real estate, not a limitation. You heard my story and you heard it from Christi as well. Our age was not a limitation, it was an asset. Make a list of all of your life experiences and identify the ones that are really going to help you being successful in your real estate career. Those are your keys to success from Christi. You have found your own. That's awesome. But what I want you to do is focus that you consider what choices that you need to make, what actions that you need to take, and what mindset shifts you might need to make. Because remember, if we continue to do the same thing expecting a different result, they say that's the definition of insanity. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's not going to move the needle. That doesn't make sense. So what choice can you make this week? What action can you take this week? And what mindset shift can you start that will change the direction of your career? Next week, we'll have another inspiring story. And in that story, you will find more keys to your success. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Double Duty Agent Podcast. I hope you're leaving inspired, and I hope that you found a key or two that you might try out to see how they work to help you unlock your success. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss a single inspiring story. And if you know anyone, another double duty, dual career agent who might benefit from hearing these stories as well, please share our podcast. I appreciate you so much. And until next time, have a productive week.